The galaxy is burning. Brother fights brother, and treason splits the Imperium of man. This is the Age of Darkness. Welcome to the Remembrancers retreat, coming to you from within the depths of the Vengeful Spirit.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Remembrancers Retreat, a Warhammer 30k Horus Heresy podcast. My name is Jesse. I'm here today with Michael.
Hey.
And Thousand Sons player and beloved co-host of the podcast, Jason.
What's up, nerds?
It's been forever. It's been forever for everybody. I'm just like touching back with everybody. Last episode was with Austin. Now it's with you. I'm sure we'll just swing around, get everybody again at some point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't have a bad time with anybody in this cast. They're all delights.
For sure. This episode, we were hitting up on part 2 of the Thousand Sons. Jason, you were otherwise preoccupied, so couldn't quite hit the first one, but a lot of it was talking about just generally the rules, the minor arcanas, and this episode we'll be talking mostly about the models, or the units themselves, and the rights of war. Mm-hmm. But before then, we'll just round up with some of our patron listeners to give them good old thanks to our Legion Flexomancers, Alex Self, Andrew N., Chaplain Asar, Chris Kymick, Chris Mack, Daniel, Edvin Ullman, Real Snice, Rena the Fluth, and Variance Hammer. If you enjoy our program and would like to support us, go to patreon.com/RR30K podcast, choose a level, become a member, get your episodes a week early. It's great times. Get a 15% discount off of goblinshut.com. Become a member today. RR30K podcast at patreon.com. Jason, what have you been up to in the hobby lately? We're going to catch up.
So, I have had a delightful time working through a brand new Despoiler squad for my Emperor's Children. Hasn't been a lot of Thousand Sons for me in second edition so far. Has been mostly Emperor's Children and Alpha Legion. But I am a massive Thousand Sons nerd and a tiny bit of lore nuggetry for our listeners. The entire reason our highest Patreon tier is called the Flexomancer tier is because of me. And the pure evil that was my biomancy. Let's see, what's that? My entire Thousand Sons company was a Pavoni, the Third Fellowship, which are the biomancers like Hathor Mott. Is such a huge asshole. He's kind of like Eidolon, only for the Thousand Sons, and he spent a bunch of time with the Third Legion. So Third Fellowship was pretty great. And they were definitely my favorite, especially because they tend to use a lot of black in their scheme, and I did not know how to paint white very well at the time. So it all came together.
Sounds like you need to get an allied detachment in there somewhere.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'm working on it. It's just slow now.
Sure. As is everything these days. Including this podcast episode releases. Anyways, very cool. Emperor's Children Despoilers. I'm also working on my own Despoilers. It took me forever. Yeah, nice. It took me forever. I don't know why I was slept on them. Well, I know why, because I had tacticals with bolters and chain swords. I was like, well, I'm just going to use these and pay the points for them. Yeah. Anyways.
Tacticals are great, but
I do like tacticals with chain swords.
If I can get the same ones with just chain swords for free.
Yeah.
Save you 5 points a guy, because they're Deathwing. They're going to be hitting stuff anyway, not shooting stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Makes sense for you. I like the tactical flexibility of it. But it is real expensive.
Yeah. Speaking of real expensive, I did get my second 20-man Mark III tactical squad to be building up, so I will have 40 Despoilers rolling around, having a good old time with chain swords.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be nice.
Yeah.
Michael, I know it's been less than a week, but what have you been up to?
Mostly I've been wrestling with the U.S. Postal Service. Who is not delivering the packages I need for my Inquisition.
Oh, no.
Ashes that I was planning on doing yesterday. Other than that, I have been not assembling my Aeronautica gunships. that I got. Probably going to do that later today, though.
Is it the Fire Raptors?
What I have been doing, the Fire
Gotcha,
Raptors. What I have been doing is pre-ordering Legions Imperialis and looking at some of the leaks coming out to figure out what I'm going to be doing there. So I think I have a good idea.
Did you manage to get your box set?
Yes.
You did? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. You
I
ordered
did.
through. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I ordered directly through the local GW store, and that worked out well.
Yeah.
So I've got my box. I've got a box of Rhinos. I might at some point pick up another box of Kratoses, but I figured that was going to give me enough to get going. And I'm going to be painting up Ultramarines.
Good call.
With a second formation of Nemesis Company Ultramarines that I think I'm going to run as Dark Angels, because it's looking like Dark Angels are going to get some fun war crimes on their infantry.
Sweet.
Which will represent the Nemesis Destroyers very well, I think.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to take a peek at the what people previewed for the Legions, but I'm excited for it. Although, yeah, addressing the elephant in the room, the release was not very well implemented. I'm going to be honest about that, but
I feel like it went the way most GW releases went, with a little more confusion because no one knows how to use the new site.
Yeah, or like even our local FLGS couldn't even get any pre-orders, which left a lot of folks around here high and dry, which was pretty disappointing. I myself, I was going to order online, and then I was trying to use the website, and the website kept. I didn't even get to the point in the queue, but it just kept on. Every time I would go to a different page on the website, it would ask me again to log in. I'm like, I'm not going to take a chance. So thankfully, there was a GW store about 15 minutes from me, so I did just swoop in there and get the pre-order in. But a lot of folks did not get the box set, which is understandably very frustrating.
Yeah,
but
I guess it's not a one and done box, at least. So at some point, it will return.
Yeah. Fingers crossed that it will be sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and the rulebook will be available separately, both in print and as a EPUB.
Yeah, which is quite honestly was surprising. I was expecting to just launch that with it, but that's something that we've always kind of hoped they would do with certain releases.
Yeah,
but yeah. So we will see what happens here in 2 weeks when I get my box set. It's going to be Dark
I am
Angels.
still very excited for it.
Yeah,
though there is definitely a cloud of negativity around it.
Yeah, hopefully,
and that's understandable. But
yeah, hopefully that will soften up once the box comes out and people can start putting stuff together. I'm excited for those tanks.
Yeah, they're so cute.
Yeah,
so small.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, they also the other day really finally showed the Mark VI Assault, fully painted up, models ready to go. They look pretty good. They come in sets of 10, which I'm like, I wish they were 20, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel
can Assault Marines be taken in 20s?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought Assaults were 10s.
No, I think it's for troops. I think it's the support squad can go up to 10.
Okay,
but not much.
And recons.
Yeah. But other than that, I don't think there's too many that cannot go to 20. Scout squads, tactical support.
Well, I suppose the backpack is adding enough extra space on the sprue that they wanted to try and keep the price reasonable.
I reckon so, but they've also been pretty good at putting a bunch in a box and having it at a decent discount. See, the 20-man squadrons. I know there would be definitely more than the tacticals, but at the same time,
yeah, I didn't even think of that. But with the jump pack added on, that's almost another, at least half a Marine.
Yeah, I'm thinking if they'd put 20 on the sprue, they would end up asking 140 for Assault Marines, which people would understandably be pissed about. I think
the people who did not used to play Forge World Marines.
Right.
But no, I get it. It was a decision, but. And we'll see how much of it comes out. But if it's $75 for a box of 10, then you're really not saving that much anyways.
Yeah.
But it looks better.
But yeah, I'm not a fan.
They do look really
They
cool.
really do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the armored chest plate they have.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say that too. What I really love, they specifically call out a pair of lightning claws, because I know everybody's been jonesing for like a lefty lightning claw to match with the tactical sergeant.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. I just saw the right one. I need to see more of the box, but right now I couldn't tell. When I saw that lightning claw, I was a little bit worried. Like, did they just throw in the same tactical upgrade kit in there again? But I don't know. We'll see. Because it looks like he's got, looks like he's got the little gas mask, the lightning claw.
Mm-hmm.
It may be the same sprue for
might be.
for upgrades,
Yeah.
which would be a little disappointing. But I really do like. See those assault squad Mark 6 with those armored chest plates.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't take much to have them just look like destroyers.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of cool. And destroyers have jump packs
that'd
too,
be
so you put some
Mhm.
bulky what did I used to do? Take the Tartaros helmets.
Okay.
They actually do a
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
good job of looking very like extra shielded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Coming soon. I can't imagine these guys won't be released in much time. I think they'll be around here. I don't know. Probably before the end of the year, I think, would be my guess.
I'm guessing December, yeah.
And they got combat shields for everybody. And those combat shields are pretty cool. They look like little mini breacher shields.
Yeah.
Big fan of those.
They've taken a long time getting here, but I think they do look good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, combat shields are just so hard to like find a decent set of.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like GW hasn't had good combat shields before.
Mm-hmm.
Not really, no.
They've had okay ones in some of the Legion specific stuff. Like the Templar shields are fine.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh yeah, I forgot about those. I'm just used to pillaging those ones from the old like 40K. Was it Vanguard veteran?
Yeah.
There's the Dark Angel, the veterans. Dark Angel veterans had a few in there as well, which worked out okay. But even after a while, they do kind of show their age too.
Yeah.
speaking of Dark Angel veterans, did you see those 40K Dark Angels Indomitus?
The Deathwing Knights.
Yeah.
I now am, and Jason can appreciate this. I am now in that rare group that have seen like special units get released twice now. Like I remember when I first started in the hobby when the Deathwing Knights came out, and I thought they were cool. That's honestly one of the first few things that I picked up into the hobby because they just looked so awesome. And now here they are back again in updated Indominus. They look really cool. I miss the wings on the head. I feel that's the one thing that's lacking.
That's fair.
They look a little
Very
they look
fair.
a little not quite as regal.
Smooth.
Yeah.
They look very smooth brained.
Yeah. A bit. That could also be the paint job
Rude.
too. But I'm
Yeah.
But yeah, no, these look great. I'm excited. I'll definitely be pillaging them and see what I can do with them around here. Because I do believe
Those maces are really cool, if nothing else.
yeah, and I do believe I have to double check because it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure Indominus Deathwing Knights can be, or Deathwing companions can be taken at least as a. I want to say it's part of the not exemplary, but the legacies.
Legendary?
Yeah,
Or legacies, yeah.
I could be mistaken, but if not,
Maybe.
well, I'll figure out some way to do it. I can't imagine throwing some cataphracti arms on the side, and
Yeah.
wouldn't be too difficult.
And feeling that in the just elite slot or troop slot, Indominus Terminators are pretty good.
True.
Yeah, they are.
Could just run them as that.
We will see what the future brings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fancy boys.
And Asmodai, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Right.
I like how they put a Mark II helmet on there with just a sword going through. He's like, I just got one last guy to kill. One last guy to kill, please. One last fallen. I swear. Just one more time for old time's sake.
Gotta stab them all.
Yeah. But yeah, he looks pretty intense and old school cartoony Warhammer style.
Yeah.
Right.
He does very much look like a 3rd edition Codex cover.
That's the best kind.
Oh, yeah.
And hell, I'm trying to think all the sorts of things I can do with this guy. Like Praetor, Librarian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's not, unless someone really complains about, you can see sort of like a kneecap behind the freaking cloth.
That's artificer armor.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, if anybody complains about that, they're just saving you time because they'd be a miserable game anyway.
Yep. What is that weapon he's got on his back there? I don't know. Oh, hang on. I could share that if I learn how to share.
I'm glad you know how to.
And this little thing right here was.
Oh, wild.
It's probably like a specific weapon he has. It's been so long since I played 40K, I forget a lot of what the characters have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's his interrogation implements. They've got some real edgy name to them, but the torturer's tools.
Yep.
I thought in 40K the lion came back and all the fallen were like forgiven.
I believe. Well, without actually having read that particular, like I understand that is the case, but it may not necessarily be all of them, and it could not necessarily. Well, chaplains and the lion don't necessarily always see eye to eye. So, like I said, Asmodai was like, "Let me just get this one guy for old time's sake."
There is a long history of Dark Angels not doing what the lion says.
Fair. Completely fair.
But he looks really cool. And I guess from what I understand, there's some more Dark Angel updates coming soon. So time to refresh in the bits box. I'm excited.
Yeah. In the meantime, do we want to talk about Spooky Space Wizards?
Spooky Space Wizards. Let's do it. All right. So I learned how to share again. There we go. All right. So, Spooky Space Wizards. Jason, I know you didn't have a chance last time to talk about special rules and stuff, but did you have any particular points? You mentioned that at first you weren't too thrilled, but you seem to have started to change a little bit.
Yeah. I will admit it's completely different from how the first edition played, which it needed to be. Nobody was having fun when a Thousand Suns player rocked up with 30 power dice and you just knew you were going to be eating every magic missile that was in the rulebook.
To jump in, if I recall right, you talked about your Flexomancer. He's the one who single-handedly brought down a Cerastus Knight in one round, if I recall. Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
That was pretty good luck on his point. But
a great story.
Yeah. It was a great story. Because for our newer listeners that may not remember the halcyon, air quotes, days of first edition, psychic powers used to be just like old Warhammer Fantasy Magic disciplines, where you had a page of spells you could pick from, and you'd have to roll them at the beginning of every battle. It was pretty wacky. And there were some
random. Good God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember back when you think telepathy's bad now with almost auto pinning. Let me tell you, back in first edition, you want to hear an old grognard complain about something, ask him about invisibility before they fixed that.
Oh.
Invisibility is the reason why I didn't play 7th edition Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
I played an introduction game in which the Eldar player parked some transports in front of their banshees, turned them invisible. It's like, okay, you can't shoot the transports because they're invisible. Okay, then I'm going to shoot through to the banshees behind. Oh, can't do that either.
They're blocking line of sight.
Yeah. And then next turn, charged my Tau and slaughtered everyone. And I was like, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm good here. I'll park it. So even better is when the first few editions, the first few FAQs and rulebooks and stuff for Horus Heresy basically just said use the 40K book.
Mm-hmm.
So what's everybody makes fun of Lorgar until invisible Lorgar is coming out of nowhere.
God damn it.
Right? Nobody likes invisible Lorgar. That's some nonsense.
I'm glad they got rid of invisibility.
Yeah, that was that needed to happen. In the same way, I think the Thousand Suns definitely needed a tune-up in a way that was not going to make it miserable for everybody to play them. And I think a lot of that ended up good. Some of it did not. Now, I absolutely 100% understand the criticism that it's very frustrating for Thousand Sons players to have your entire Legionis Astartes trait tied to your squad leader, because the second you get on the board with somebody with a precision shot and a single sniper rifle takes out your squad leader, you no longer get to use your Legionis Astartes trait because he's dead. I understand what they were probably trying to do with that. The Thousand Sons, history-wise, have a habit of promoting the stronger practitioners more quickly through the ranks, so it makes sense that it would kind of represent like a squad leader being the strongest practitioner of that art in the squad, kind of being like the old Brotherhood of Sorcerers deal, where they would concentrate their power and sort of direct it for the squad. I think that's what they were going for. Now, I don't think that's implemented great because, one, your squad sergeant dies, then you can't use your trait, and also it's the only legion with a trait that kills them, which is also not delightful, but also it really sort of plays into the Thousand Sons being like the big risk, big reward legion.
Yeah.
Because as gross as it is to try and use your Legionis Astartes trait to get plus 3 inches of movement and have it kill you, on the other hand, when you have like all of those psychic buffs rolling off, and suddenly, even with minor arcanas, you can easily get like plus 3 inches of movement. Everybody has Hammer of Wrath 2. Everybody has like a +1 to their invulnerables, so suddenly you can have Terminators, Tartarus Terminators with the save of Cataphracti, but 0 downsides, or Breachers, all with a 4-up invulnerable, and it's good times.
Okay, I hear you, but
But
playing Imperial Fists, my Tartaros have a 3-up invuln, and my Breachers have a 4-up invuln.
They do.
And that's not even my Legion trait.
But you do have to pay points for that, though, right?
Yeah, but it's so worth it.
That's true. To have it, points for the reliability for sure.
Yeah.
You're not making a great case to disavow the Loyalist Trust Fund.
No, that's fair. And for context, Jason, I was going hard against the minor cults last time.
100%.
I don't like where they're at. And I like Thousand Sons. I was planning on doing a small Thousand Sons army before 2.0 dropped, and the rules dissuaded me from that. So, yeah.
I agree. And it's hard to balance.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you not go back to that nightmare of miserable times for your opponent of stacking 30 power dice, but also have them feel like the psychic powerhouses that they are?
Right.
And I don't think they're at a place that's unplayable. No. It's just there are definitely some constructive criticisms to be had.
Yeah.
But that being said, there are just some absolute fun times with all of the warlord traits. As bad as all of those psychic tests can be across the length and breadth of the game, they do give you some very solid warlord traits to make sure that A, you either almost never miscast, or B, when you do, it's your opponent's problem.
Yeah.
So, I guess C, if you want to go with Eidolon of Suffering, you don't have to worry about it at all.
Yeah, but a lot of that just affects the warlord in their particular unit, though. Not quite like army-wide. I was thinking about this after we had discussed it last episode, and I think maybe in terms of what a balancing act could have been was perhaps you still had to perform a psychic test, but if you fail, nothing happens. But if you fail real hard, then you may have Perils of the Warp. Like if you rolled like a 3 or 4 or less on your leadership check for your psychic. Something of that nature.
All right, give me 1 sec. I'll be like 5 minutes.
Okay. But I was thinking something like that might have been... Like, because I still understand that they kind of have to represent that, that dangerous weapon that they're holding that is psychic power to some extent. But it shouldn't be a complete, like every time you fail, Suffering Perils of the Warp, I'm just not a huge fan of.
Yeah, I think maybe it just shouldn't have been in their Legion trait. maybe make their war gear instead of, actual war gear, psychic powers that you can just put on each squad. It's then dangerous. Their weapons are old Witchfire style things, and if they perils. I think that would have gotten that across pretty well.
But then what was there of Astartes trait? I'm just thinking what would be a good way to represent them otherwise.
I'm not sure, and at this point...
Oh, I know.
It is what it is.
This is all theoretical.
Sure.
Something to chew on while I'm burning time while waiting for Jason to get back real quick.
Yeah. As it stands, I think really what you want to do with Thousand Suns is do some old style Death Stars with them.
I feel like you kind of have to really get the most out of it.
Yeah.
And most bang it for your buck without really shooting yourself in the foot.
Which I think is fine. I wish they didn't have to do that, but it is fine. Also, all of their characters should be able to take... All the characters who take the upgrade to be Psychers should be able to just take 4 swords.
Yeah. Or, yeah. Oh, here's an idea. Maybe if Thousand Suns had the ability to take regular saves on Perils of the Warp. Or some sort of save on Perils of the Warp.
Yeah, that would work.
I feel like that... but yeah. Too late for that now, but...
Yeah.
I feel that would have been a fair exchange. Or reduce the minor if they were to suffer perils just to have a single wound as opposed to the potential D3 every time.
Yeah. And if they moved more stuff into like war gear and warlord traits and that sort of thing,
options
then
to choose whether or not to.
And it would be fine if they then had a lackluster Legionnaires Astartes trait. That's a little bit where I feel they're at now, but not quite.
I'm trying to think of other ways to bump up standard units leadership to help with those psychic checks. Other than, I don't think there's a generic area-wide leadership boost. I think that's for like special characters. But there might be some units in here because honestly, I'll be honest, I haven't looked a lot at Thousand Suns themselves. So maybe there's some surprises in here that might be worth taking a look at. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Take a look in a moment. From what I remember, most of the leadership buffs are specifically for morale checks.
Gotcha. Not leadership checks that are required for psychic checks.
Yeah. Though if I remember correctly, then most of the leadership debuffs do just hit leadership, not morale checks. So, fear, rip. Psychic Anathema is very much a rip, but it should be.
Yeah.
The Sisters versus Thousand Suns should just be a bad time for the Thousand Suns.
It's one of those matchups that you can't really hate.
Yeah.
Granted, I might be speaking from a place of bias there, but I don't know. When Jason gets back, we'll ask him, hey, if you were facing up a giant Sisters of Silence, would you feel bad about it?
Also, if your opponent is running a primary army of Sisters of Silence, it's the only good matchup they have. So
fair.
Let them have it.
Yeah, they should be applauded for making a full-blown Sisters of Silence army anyway.
Yeah. We'll let them get their one easy win.
All right. Jason back. There we go.
Welcome back.
Delightful.
Yeah. We were just discussing a Thousand Suns and like how we would have tweaked it differently. I was considering if they were going to keep the Perils of the Warp on them, at least allow 1,000 Suns to have like a special save against that.
Adamantium will.
Does Adamantium will save against Perils, or am I?
So Adamantium will. People normally remember that it's a save against like force weapons and weapons with psychic focus, but it also specifically gives you a save against Perils of the Warp wounds if you don't have a better invulnerable already.
Oh, so that's cool. I rarely run Psychers, so I've never actually run into it, so I don't keep it in my memory bank.
Yeah, it's real nice. Like the Osiren Dreadnought has a 4-up. Araman and Magnus both have a 3-up. It's good times.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, well, you ready to dig into these units here?
Heck yeah.
All right. I figured we'd save Magnus for last, or close to last.
Cool.
And skip on to the Sekhmet.
Yeah.
Love these guys.
So the Sekhmet are a little bit of a problem child, I think, from the first edition. And they're a little bit different now. with how the spread between like minor arcanas and actual psychic disciplines and everything work. But they are very solid, very good. They're kind of like the Dark Angels Cenobium. They're very expensive, but they're very good at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you guys gone through the armory and everything yet? Okay.
Yes.
So, y'all already know how Achaean force weapons work.
Mm-hmm.
I am a fan of the Achaean force weapons for everything except the fact for some weird reason they can't be taken by independent characters, only characters.
So you weren't here last time, but I had a theory on that. I think maybe that they had intended force weapons to be taken by any Thousand Sons
Right.
character who took a psychic upgrade. Of course, they can't because that's only a librarian option.
They
could
in
but
first edition.
I think that would make sense.
And I mean, that would be great if they could now.
Yeah, I really think they should have that option.
Yeah, maybe we'll see it in a balance base update for a FAQ sometime in the near future. We can only speculate. However, what we have to work with now, the Sekhmet are pretty darn good. They're weapon skill 5, leadership 9 with your sergeant, and one downside, and this is a very personal pet peeve that affects probably literally 3 other people that play Horus Heresy. I converted my first edition Sekhmet to be in Tartaros armor because they weren't required to take Cataphracti in first edition. Because again, they were Pavoni. So Biomancy, I wanted to be able to sweep and use their cool warp speed and bonus initiative and stuff. They're stuck in Cataphracti now. I will be honest, I'm a little biased against Cataphracti. I don't like that they're heavy. They can't run. I feel like, especially with the move to concentrating on 4-turn game, being able to run is very important. And I feel like being able to sweep is also super important for a combat unit. Cataphracti just have 0 chance to sweep, and I feel like that's almost crippling for a unit that big.
It can be, for sure.
But
it's definitely a downside.
Some good things. All of them have whatever flavor of Achaean pattern force weapon you want. They are stubborn, which is great. So they are 50 points each, which again, like, expensive, but they do good stuff. You can trade out your combi bolters, kind of like a normal Terminator, for 2, 5, or 10 points for the Volkite, minor and magni combi weapons, and then you can take the Power Fist, Lightning Claws, Chain Fist, Thunder Hammers for a middling of points. Your Inceptor, which is your squad leader equivalent, you can take that Grenade Harness for only 5 points, which is nice. And then you can also purchase for your Inceptor a single Psychic Discipline from the core rulebook. So,
love that.
It is delightful. Definitely a step down. They were considered a second mastery level for, which basically just as powerful as a stock librarian, which, was funny, but again, could be pretty miserable for your opponent when you armor them up with all sorts of biomancy and whatever. But now, of course, I'm biased towards biomancy. The +1 strength just across the board is great. You don't have to test for it. Or if you want, currently as like a reaction for, say, Overwatch or shooting, you can use the boosted version to get +1 toughness. Strength 5, toughness 5 Terminators with weapon skill 5 are no joke. Even before you turn on their Achaean force weapons, which, again, Achaean force weapons have no downsides if you fail the psychic check, which is terrific. So basically, it's just a free chance for that +2 strength, which is why I really enjoy a mix of mauls and axes. Because when you've got that biomancy that you don't have to test for, and you've got the Achaean force, which there are no downsides for testing for, and a force axe or maul, at a minimum, you are strength 8 AP2 to instant death Marines, or strength 9 AP3 as long as you don't have to work around fighting somebody in Artificer armor or another 2-up save. So that's pretty great. Another couple of good things. Pyromancy is never bad.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to lay out those really big templates is always going to be great, especially when you're combining it with something nasty like the Court of the Crimson King for your Rites of War. Those are delightful. You can go telepathy, but I feel like telepathy is kind of mean and overused. It feels kind of like the go-to if you want to make somebody hate their game. And
Yeah.
it can be used in moderation, but also moderation is wildly subjective. And I feel like it causes more bad games than not. So I kind of tend to avoid telepathy.
Also, my take on it is that telepathy just isn't fun to play.
It's not.
It's really good, but why do that when you can summon up, fiery vortexes all over the battlefield?
I mean, Pyromancy, hands down, I think my favorite for big dumb fun, and also doesn't make your opponent that miserable. So I feel like that goes pretty well. I'm always going to default to Biomancy, though. It's in my blood.
It's in the flex.
Yeah, exactly.
Swole nerds.
Swole nerds are why I play Thousand Suns. It's just, it's always going to be my go-to. It's good games. Yeah. But any other thoughts while we're here?
I love them.
Yeah, I do too. As much as I don't like Cataphracti, I think out of every Cataphracti variant for a Legion, these are the coolest looking ones. Like, I love giant Keltaran head crests in the Forge Roll kit. I love all like the goofy over the top like scroll work and the runes and the neat bolters and the hecastaves and all of that. It's cool nonsense, which is what the Thousand Suns is all about.
Yep.
And mechanically, they're what I want in a Thousand Suns unit to be: elite, and then make it a psyker.
And expensive.
Yeah.
It's good across the board.
Yeah.
A solid pick.
Next up is a similar unit, the Contemptor Osiren Dreadnought Talon.
Oh boy. So
it's a Contemptor Dreadnought.
But magic.
Dreadnought Psyker.
Yes, the Dreadnought Psyker. It's got the Gravis Force Blade with an inbuilt combi bolter and a Gravis Bolt Cannon. It's got Adamantium Will 4-up. I believe other than that, it is a pretty standard Dreadnought until you get to the upgrades.
Those are some pretty good differences, though.
Yes.
Adamantium Will is never bad as long as you remember it exists. Because, like you mentioned, this is a Psyker Dreadnought, and he has a much better invulnerable save when he accidentally knocks his own hit points off.
You can add 2 more to the Talon for 200 points each. You can take the usual Contemptor upgrades, though you can also take an Aetherfire Magna Cannon if you want, and a second Gravis Force Blade with inbuilt Combi Bolter. You can replace that inbuilt Combi Bolter with a Heavy Flamer, an Aetherfire Blaster, a Graviton Gun, or a Melt-A-Gun. You can take the usual Havoc Launcher if you want. For 15 points each, any Contemptor Osiren Dreadnought can take a single Minor Arcana. Or, if the Talon is composed of a single model, you can upgrade it to an Osiren Magus Dreadnought and select a single Psychic Discipline from the core Psychic Discipline list at 50 points.
And this, I feel, is like where the fun nonsense comes in. Like, the Minor Arcana, I think, is always going to be a good go. What Dreadnought is not going to want, like, plus 3 inches of movement, or the Raptora bonus is really nice. Who's going to complain at a better save when you're in close combat?
And it's got a leadership of 9, I believe. Plus, as you mentioned, Adamantium Will. So it's got a decent chance of getting that off, too.
What I wanted to touch on, though, is the Gravis Force Blade is unique to these guys and is important for 2 reasons. So it's Strength 9, AP 2, exactly like the normal Dreadnought Power Fist. It's only Brutal 2, but it's also a K in Force. which the difference between strength 9 to strength 11 is not readily apparent until you hit custodians. And the normal Dreadnought Power Fist does not instant death them. This one does. And it's still brutal too.
Yeah.
So that's...
You crack open Land Raiders and Spartans with pretty much ease as well.
Yeah. It's pretty nice. I mean, it's just as mean as any other Contemptor Dreadnought in close combat. For some weird reason, they get a 5-point discount on Graviton guns, like in their hands. I don't know what that's for, but
I bet the Force Blade that they get for by default is just more expensive. Base.
That's fair.
I bet that's what's going on.
But again, no downsides for Achaean Force. It is terrific.
What I see when I look at this is usually what happens to my dreadnoughts when they get quote unquote incapacitated is I end up having to run them into like a 20 strong spoiler squad or tactical squad or something. And they just get bogged down because they can only kill 3 a round.
That's true.
You make this guy Magus, you give him pyromancy, then he kills 3 and then explodes with fire.
Except
hitting everyone around him in that fight.
They're terrific little guided missiles. It does work a little wonky. There are a couple of things, a couple of disciplines that they don't work that well with. Like Biomancy is always my go-to, but it's very janky on here. It's not going to do a Dreadnought a whole lot of good to get that additional toughness for a turn. And
that makes sense.
Your melee weapon is locked to strength 9 or 11, so a +1 strength is literally will do nothing.
Makes sense.
But Pyromancy spectacular. That's what I've used on it every time I've gotten the chance to use it so far. Pyromancy is just so handy across the board.
Yeah.
That I will admit I have not branched out from there.
Telekinesis could be interesting as well. Gives them a hefty range shot. If you didn't want to upgrade your secondary weapon. True.
And they are dreadnoughts, so they can fire all of their shooting weapons.
Oh yeah.
Regardless. So that's
good.
Nice.
Good call. Yeah. And then telekinesis also has the dome of 4 pinball that they can put up.
Oh, you know what? Really need to try divination just to have a dreadnought with a strength 11 AP2 precision shot. And right.
Rose.
So yeah.
Dart. So I mean,
yeah. So fully upgraded, your Contemptor Siren Dreadnought can push 300
easily.
points.
Like again, it pretty much runs the theme of big, dumb, expensive fun,
and it's going to be great.
It'll be great.
Love it.
Yeah.
Next up, I believe, is one of your favorites, or at least previous favorites.
It was, and I try to keep a brave face for a whole lot of the changes to Thousand Suns, but these poor nerds, I have...
Stiff upper lip, Jason. Stiff upper lip.
I know. The poor Castellax Achaea are stuck in this weird spot, I think because they're a combination of the Thousand Suns needing to be toned down, and also the Mechanicum needed to be toned down. And then they kind of are both of those things. So they caught it twice. The problem here is they're expensive. They really suffer from that weapon skill 3 that's almost universal to automata that aren't Damatar chassis now. They've got 2 attacks, 3 with their Archaea Force Claws, strength and toughness 6. Their wounds 4, initiative 3, 2 attacks, leadership 8, 3+ save. They've got your same adamantic deflector as a dreadnought. They come stock with the wacky Aetherfire Cannon, which isn't bad, isn't great. 2 Asphyx Bolters and 2 Achaea Force Claws. They've got Hammer of Wrath 1 and Adamantium Will 4 up. One thing I will say for them, I know a lot of people are trying to get that first Rite of War, the Achaean configuration, to work. where essentially it turns these guys into sinks for your Thousand Sons to channel Perils of the Warp into. So that Adamantium 4 Plus does help with that. Gives them kind of a 50-50 chance to ignore those wounds. And then you normally have that required Paravian to help repair them back. They're 140 points each. You can take up to 4 more for 140 points. And you can swap the Aether Fire Cannon for an Asphyx Bolt Cannon for free. I don't honestly know what the play is there. I used to be 100% behind the Asphyx Bolt Cannon in first edition because it was literally just a Mauler cannon with Asphyx shells, so you could re-roll to wound. Also, it was Strength 6, AP 3, and pinning, which was terrific.
Yeah.
It's got the same statistics now as a Mauler Bolt Cannon, but it lacks the pinning but gains shred. Which,
for those at home, it's 24-inch, strength 6, AP 4, heavy 4, shred.
Yeah. Which isn't awful if you don't have anything to compare it to, but it's not great either. And when these guys are already kind of struggling, it's like they want to be at that 12 to 24-inch range to really lay down firepower, but as expensive as they are and as close as that puts them to melee, it's not great. And they don't have the same backup of the Magos Dominus to craft wounds back on them, to bump their ballistic skill up, to allow them to react, things like that. It's like all of the downsides of being Psychers and Automata, with none of the ways the Mechanicum have to mitigate those. So they're not cripplingly bad, but it's really hard to justify when you've got some of the other cool things the Thousand Sons do.
As we mentioned, a lot of their units are very expensive, so you've really got to pick and choose.
The Achaean Force Claws aren't god-awful. They're Strength 6, AP 3, Rending 5 Plus, and then Achaean Force. By itself in a vacuum, that's pretty darn good. But, again, you're really struggling against that Weapon Skill 3, and AP 3 is not bad. But what typically happens is you only have a couple, maybe 3 of these dudes in a squad. You're going to end up fighting a tactical squad. They're going to get bogged down by basically any rend is either going to be bounced off of a Feel No Pain or just take out a normal tactical guy. Anything that's not a rend is probably going to bounce off of Artificer Armor. Now, the plus side there, compared to normal Castellax, you do have Achaean Force, which bumps them up to Strength 8, which instant deaths Marines, which is good, but you're still probably going to struggle to hit with that 5 plus against Weapon Skill 4, and then you're going to get Crack Grenaded, which hits automatically, wounds on a 4 plus, and ignores your armor save. So again, a lot of the same downsides as stock Castellax, but none of the ways with Cyber Theurgy to help kind of mitigate those downsides.
Also, a major downside to me is the Psi Automata subtype giving it the programmed behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So then your tactical choices become even more difficult to implement.
Shorter. And it used to be 24 inches within a Psyker. Now it's 6 inches. And they used to have the ability to channel those Perils wounds natively. Now you have to take the Achaean configuration to get that.
Yeah.
So you're not going to handicap yourself by taking them, but with so many other fun and expensive choices, the Thousand Sons specific, these are probably going to be the bottom of the units you're going to pick through every time.
Which is a shame because it's such a cool looking model.
It's a stupid cool looking model, and I have a whole bunch of them. And
one day.
So, upside though, next page, Kinatai Occult.
Yeah.
So, one thing I want to address as we talk these over, it's something that comes up a whole lot. I've seen it online, on Facebook, on Reddit, and Discord. There's a very big debate over their special psychic special rule that I want to touch on as we talk through these guys. My one single complaint here, constructive criticism. These guys are masters of the blade craft. Even when Templar brethren were taking a nap. These guys were studying the blade. But they have psycho-reactive armor that they spend like decades of their initiation crafting that's like psychically attuned with them in the same way as their swords to levels that have never been seen before in the mastery of like the paragon warrior of blade, armor, and Space Marine. 3+ armor save.
Yeah.
I hear you, but I've been on the receiving end of these guys, and they're fine. They don't need more.
I will say, I do like that they're not super expensive. They are only 145 to start out with.
Yeah, that might have been changed if they all had 2-ups, for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind like 175, 180, 185 if they had the 2-up armor save. Like Templar Brethren, Palatines, those guys feel like they should be in the same ballpark as these. I would be 100% okay with these guys being more expensive and being able to outmatch those other like really hefty Legion Elite units in specific circumstances.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying. Like
Templar Brethren don't hit this hard, though.
They can be mean. 2, they're stuck at Initiative 4. There's no way like the Palatines with Spears or the Emperor's Children, Legionis Astartes trait to get them above that. So no matter how nasty they are, they're always going to give you the chance to swing back. So, these guys, let's talk about them. So, you got your move 7, you got your weapon skill 5, 2 wounds, which is nice, leadership 8, 9 on your squad leader, who is called the Blade Master. You have a bolt pistol that you'll probably never use and forget it's there. You get 2 Achaean Force swords, only swords, nothing else. Your standard Marine stuff of frag, crack, power armor. You are chosen warriors, which is nice, and you also have the Warriors of the Kinatai rule, which we'll talk on in just a second. 24 points a dude to add up to 5 additional ones. For every 5 in the unit, you can get an Aether Fire pistol or a Hand Flamer. Aether Fire pistols are kind of fun, but like you're not here to shoot. You're basically just antagonizing return fire reactions at that point.
This is not a Legion where you're buying every single upgrade just because your guys are already expensive.
And then your Blade Master can take your Melta Bombs, and you're definitely going to want that Artificer armor, even though they pay 15 points for it. So, important couple of things here. Warriors of the Kinatai means you only get their special power, the Mind Song of Blades, and not a Minor Arcana, which is that debate I was talking about. We'll touch on that in a second. Mind Song of Blades, however, is terrific. So, at the start of your turn, a psychic check can be made for this unit composed entirely of models with this rule, so no independent characters. If you join an independent character of the squad, you screw it up for everybody. Don't do that. And you don't need to. So, please hold. Sorry, I had to smooch the baby. So, you take a leadership test for your psychic check. If it's successful, you get +1 to movement, weapon skill, and attacks. All of those are terrific, because now, your movement 8, you get the +1 to charge bonuses. Your weapon skill 6, you're hitting other weapon skill 5 elites on 3s, and they're hitting you on 5s. And a +1 attack, which means even your basic dude is at 4, because they've got 2 base, +1 for the extra combat weapon, and you are a Kinatai. And it's great. It's great times.
And that's without your charge
without
bonus.
Your charge bonus. So, 2 Achaean Force swords is pretty good. I do wish they had the little bump to initiative like old school warp speed, but I can't complain with all of these bonuses. Now, what I want to touch on...
Go ahead.
I feel like Emperor's Children might have spoiled you with initiative bonuses.
I really feel like nobody pays heed to initiative bonuses until they're biting you, like, because you don't have them. I pay a whole lot of attention to it, and it's so great to be able to swing before your opponent can even swing back.
Mm-hmm.
It's good times. But one thing that's been a back and forth, and it takes a whole circuitous route to get there. But Kinatai can take apothecaries. They're power armored. Apothecary and detachment gives you any of the special rules and unit subtypes that they are assigned to. So in this case, your apothecary that you attach here will get the Psyker subtype. They'll get chosen warriors, and they'll get warriors of the Kinatai. So warriors of the Kinatai gives them the Mind Song of Blades power. So they're not as impressive statistic-wise as a Kinatai. I like to think of it as the guy who was like bottom of the class. So they bullied him out of Kinatai school, and he ended up going to med school instead. Then he just came back in. So he's only got 1 wound. He only has weapon skill 4, but he can still do Mind Song of Blades like, a real boy. Now, the thing that comes in here that's a little bit of a debate on, that I always like to touch on. Apothecaries are chosen as a unit when you're building your list, and then you assign them out. For Thousand Sons, what that means is they all have to have the same minor arcana. Because they're chosen as a unit, you choose the minor arcana for your unit, and then you assign them once the list creation starts. The debate comes in is they do get Warriors of the Kinatai, which means they gain Mind Song of Blades and may not select a minor arcana from those presented by the Prospering Arcana. The argument being, they're not assigned to the Kinatai yet. They pick their minor arcana, then are assigned to the Kinatai. Do they lose that minor arcana, or do they keep it? I have no super strong feelings either way. None of the minor arcana are going to make a crazy amount of difference. Normally, what I see from Thousand Sons players, their apothecaries tend to be Pavoni, because that 3+ to your movement is never going to be a bad thing.
Sure.
When and if you need it. But I can definitely see the argument falling both ways. Like, do they lose that ability to take a minor arcana and to utilize it as soon as they get assigned and they get Warriors of the Kinatai? Or do they hang on to it because they select it before they get assigned and get Warriors of the Kinatai?
Could definitely use clarification. It really seems against the spirit of the Warriors of the Kinatai rule for them to get.
It does.
Yeah.
The logic follows, but I think it's not what's intended.
Yeah, I get the logic, but also if you're gaining that special rule of Warriors of the Kinatai, and the special rule specifically says may not select a minor arcana from those presented by the Prospering Arcana special rule, it feels very gamey, and it just feels weird it feels wrong just trying to defend taking a minor arcana at that point.
It was.
It feels a bit gamey.
It's definitely clear to me that the intent is that Mind Song of Blades is replacing your minor arcana.
Because you're of the Kinatai.
Yeah. It's a special. Yeah.
And to hear a lot of Thousand Sons players argue for it, they are trying to get whatever small ray of sunshine they can out of what they consider a pretty sub-tier unit.
Yeah. Fair enough. I've been on the receiving end of these guys. I would not consider them sub-tier.
I don't know why people don't like the Achaean Force Swords more. Like, I get that you don't have hyper-consistent AP2, which seems to be a sticking point for a lot of people, but also on the charge, you're getting 5 attacks at Strength 6 AP3 that rend 16% of the time. Like, you're almost guaranteed to get 1 rend per dude. And that's not bad numbers when you've got weapon skill 6 going and you're hitting almost everything on 3s.
Is there a reason other than just for style points that they have 2 Achaea Force Swords? If you're getting your bonus attack from the pistol anyway, it's just of a model design.
Because the models have 2 Achaean Force Swords.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Because they studied the blade.
But I was looking at the Achaean Force special rule, and it looked like, regardless, you still just take a single psychic check.
Yes.
Good.
And then that also empowers both of them. It's not like you have to take a separate check for both swords. I had to check.
It's because they're.
I had to check.
it's because they're nerds and they wield not one but two katanas.
If there is any legion that would use a katana, it is not the White Stars. It is the Thousand Sons.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. That starts to bring us into our named characters here in the book.
yeah.
One last thought on the
Yeah.
Kenetai is I feel like a lot of the internet is, if it's not AP2, it's worthless because they're only looking at going into elite units.
Yeah.
AP3 is, you put, frankly, you take a KF Force axe or spear on your apothecary. You challenge with the apothecary to take the sergeant out, and then the Kenetai slice and dice whatever 3-up save unit you're going into. You don't even need to sweep because they will all be dead.
This is true.
I see where they could struggle going into, an elite unit. Their matchup against Phoenix Guard Terminators is probably not great.
Yeah,
But that's not what I think they're there for.
absolutely not.
If you want to do that, if you need to deal with some Phoenix Terminators, send in the Sekhmet.
Yeah.
Or the Contemptor of Siren.
Use these guys to completely decimate your opponent's line troop formations and make them unable to score points.
Or they're punching down elites.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've used them a couple
All
of times. I have no major complaints.
Yeah. All right. Then first up for our named characters is the Chief Librarian, the Archmagister of the Corvidae, the Enduring Sun, Azek Araman, at 185 points. He's got Movement 7, Weapon Skill 5, Ballistic Skill 5, Strength and Toughness 4, 3 wounds, Initiative 5, 4 attacks, Leadership 10, and a 2-up save. He's packing a mastercrafted Asphyx bolt pistol, the Corvidaean Scepter, Artificer Armor, an Iron Halo, Frag and Crack Grenades. And for special rules, he's got Legion as Astartes, Master of the Legion, Independent Character, Relentless, Adamantium Will 3-up, Archmagister of the Corvidae, Traitor, and Pattern of Fates, which is his Warlord trait. Someone else want to take the Warlord
I
trait?
know it's Pattern of Fates, but in the exact same way for the Alpha Legion Warlord trait, I know it's the Mobius configuration. I can't not say Morbius configuration. In the same way, I can't not think of this one as Duel of the Fates,
Yeah.
because I'm
yeah.
a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
So this one is actually a lot cooler and a lot more useful than it may seem as first glance. So just like any other special one, if he's chosen as the Warlord, he has to have this one. Once all models have been deployed onto the battlefield, including infiltrating, and after any units have been redeployed using Scout, but before the first turn, player can select up to 3 friendly units, and redeploy them to any other position within the controlling player's deployment zone, or remove them from the battlefield and place them in reserves. In addition, you can make an extra reaction in any one phase once per turn, as long as Araman has not been removed as a casualty. The phase in which the additional reaction is made does not need to be declared in advance. So
That's nuts.
That is really
that is
good.
real good. So it's not once per game. It's not just for Araman or his unit. It's just one additional reaction, whatever phase you want. End of story. It's terrific. And
He's only 185 points.
Mhm. Now, a couple of things to touch on there. That redeploying, it's any unit. It's not like the Alpha Legion special character Dynat, where it has to be infantry.
Yeah.
It's pretty darn
put-
similar, almost to like Alpharius.
You can put that Spartan on the other side of the table if you want.
Right. It's just
Oh, man.
unit.
Just those high-powered vehicles with special weapons, you can line them up exactly how you want them.
And
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
very, very importantly, it is after infiltrate and it is after scout moves.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing else is going to be moved.
Your opponent has no recourse.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not like you don't have to roll for anything. You just move. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's really good and really appropriate.
Yeah.
That's a really good way of, showing the master of the Corvette at work.
Right?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. At first, I read through it and I was like, oh, bonus reaction, whenever you want. That sounds good. And you can redeploy stuff. And then I kept rereading it. And it's every time through, I was like, wait, hang on. A new thing I just discovered. It's terrific. The first couple of times you use it, it is just so beginning of the game changing. It's spectacular. Now, I will say he is no slouch in combat. He does only have weapon skill 5 as a Praetor level character, which is not the best. However, the Corvidian Scepter is amazing because...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Strength +1, AP 2, Melee, Reach 1, Force, and Mastercrafted. Now, a couple of things you'll notice. There is no unwieldy. There is no two-handed. It's not even a specialist weapon.
Huh.
That little goofy Mastercrafted Asphyx bolt pistol that he had.
Yeah.
+1 attack.
Gives him an extra attack.
Scepter. So he swings at initiative 6. His force doubles that to strength 9 AP 2 at his initiative 6. And it's mastercrafted, so he can, reroll one just in case. And since he's Archmagister of the Corvidae, he automatically gains the Corvidae power. He gains both the Divination and the Thaumaturgy disciplines, and can't select any others. It means, at minimum, he and his retinue always have that 6+ precision and strike and shot. And it's terrific because he can use it with his Corvidian Scepter. It's...
Yeah. And with Force, Corvidian Scepter just jacks up to strength 10?
9, I believe. It's how the math works out.
Doubles his...
I think you double then add.
Then adds it. But I mean, strength 9, AP 2, at initiative 6. Lucius wishes. And, as well, since he has both Divination and Thaumaturgy, of course, he has the Divinatory Aegis, which is the precision shot, precision strikes on a 6+ or a 5+. You've also got Diviner's Dart, which is terrific. That's strength 6, AP 2. Sniper, so it's always a precision shot. It's guided fire, which means you can shoot at things even out of your own line of sight. It's an 18-inch range, so not a whole lot of utility on that, but still pretty darn good. And it is a psychic focus, so it screws with demons and corrupted units. Oh, did you guys touch on that with the Achaean force weapons last time?
No, we have not talked about demons and the various interactions yet.
So that's one thing that you should always be aware of. They are Achaean force weapons. However, they do not have the psychic focus or the force special rules, which means they do not count as instant death or the reroll to invulnerable sort of deal. They do not count as force or for interaction with corrupted or demons. So small downside there, but what are you going to do?
Still +2 strength.
It's pretty great.
I'm about ready to dig a Azek Araman out of my closet. Pretty sure I got a sprue or 5 of him.
He is great. Yeah. On top of that, he also has Thaumaturgy, so he's got... I'm still not 100% sure how to use the Thaumaturgic Succor power. That's the one where you pick a unit within 12 inches, and anybody with wounds can roll a d6, and on a 5+, you regain a single lost wound. It's weird. It's not a very good chance to have like 1 or 2 wounds come back up with how wound dispersion has to go.
Yeah.
The Thaumaturgist Cleansing, I think, is a little bit better. It's Strength 4, AP 3, Assault 1, Sanctic, which means a weapon with this rule always wounds demons on a 2+, and any successful invulnerables have to be re-rolled. That, and it's a psychic focus, so it has kind of that combination of counted as an instant death, and also wounds on a 2+, and also have to re-roll invulnerables. But as a trader, like, how often are you going to be fighting demons? It's not an active handicap, but it's probably not something that's going to come up too soon. But yeah,
I can
Even
see
if it's like,
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
With thaumaturgic sucker, I can see it being used on like large squadrons of Terminators and elite units, but outside of that, even then, you're not gaining. I feel like you're not gaining a lot out of it.
you're not.
Unless you're using a cheap librarian to just do that, and even then, I'm not sure.
Because you can't spread wounds out unless they're character Terminators, which the
Right.
Sekhmet aren't. So at best, you're kind of trying to shoot for a 5+ chance to regain 1 wound on 1 guy.
Yeah. I will say, even if Thaumaturgy is completely useless for him, at the points cost of 185 for everything we've seen, it's still a great value.
Yeah.
He could not be a psyker, and he would still be
Right.
great.
He
I
could
think.
not have thaumaturgic powers
Yeah.
and still be awesome.
Between the Corvidaean Scepter and his Warlord trait, definitely worth 185.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For sure.
His psychic powers are just bonus at that point. All right. Up next, we have the Hidden One, the Captain of the Ninth Fellowship, Tutor of Magnus, Keeper of Keys,
That's our word. You can't use that word.
Magistus Amon.
It's a Dark Angels joke. Anyways, yeah. So Amon looks like he's also a very Praetor level type of dude.
Mhm.
Rocking in at movement 7, weapon skill 6, BS 5, strength, toughness, wounds 4, 4, 3, initiative, attacks, leadership 5, 4, 10.
Look at
2
him.
up save. What's that?
Look at him with his weapon skill 6. He's
Right?
better at that than
Yeah.
Ahriman.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
He is a unique Psyker character infantry unit. He has war gear of an Archaeotech pistol, the Reliquary of Dust, the Armor of Shades, Iron Halo, frag grenades and crack grenades. He's got the Thousand Suns special rule, Master of the Legion, independent character, Relentless, Magister of Dust, Infiltrate. He is a traitor and has Lord of Hidden Paths as his warlord trait itself. The warlord trait, Lord of Hidden Paths. If an army's warlord has this trait, then all units in the same army with the Infiltrate and Scout special rules gain the Shrouded 5-up special rules for the duration of the first 2 game turns. In addition, an army whose warlord has this trait may make an additional reaction in the opposing player's movement phase.
So, not bad. Like, definitely great if you're going with, like, a themey Thousand Suns, like, recon company. No complaints.
We'll say this mentions, it doesn't say it has to be in the same detachment, just in the army. So if you want to bring in like an Alpha Legion annoying allied squadron, that might be beneficial. But
Or some Traitor Raven Guard.
Yeah.
Yep. Honestly, anything with Infiltrate and Scout. So if you have like a little Scout company allied detachment, the Shrouded 5-up for the first 2 game turns, I don't know. Is it worth it? Potentially, but not by much. I think there's some fun things you can do with it, but at the end of the day, it's still just a 5-up damage mitigation roll for 2 turns.
It's fine. This is not going to be a game-changing warlord trait, but not all of them need to be.
That's also extremely fair. Looking at his war gear, the Armor of Shades, 2-up save, and any turn which Magistus Amon has moved or is within the bounds of a zone of area terrain, it grants him the Shrouded 4-up special rule. All right. His Reliquary of Dust is a force weapon. It is a melee weapon, strength user. So strength 4, AP 2, poisoned 4-up, reaping blow 1, and master crafted.
So what's a little bit weird here is it's a force weapon, counts as it, but it doesn't have the force special rule, which means you can't take that psychic check to double its strength, but it does cause problems for demons.
Yeah. I see. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Poison 4 up and AP2.
Not bad.
Still interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And Reaping Blow, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't think of, like, the master of spies and snipers, like, wailing into a group of dudes, but...
Well, I'm thinking, like, the reliquary does... It sounds like it's, like... I don't know. I literally see, like, a jar of pocket sand that he just kind of throws at a bunch of people. Because it's...
That's the vibe I'm getting, too.
Yep.
Big pocket sand energy.
Yep. He's also got... The reliquary dust can also be made to use a shooting attack with a 6-inch range, strength 1, assault 2d6, poison 4 up, concussive 3, and rending 6 up.
Fuck, what?
Pocket sand it is.
Yeah, no, that is a major pocket sand energy. Concussive 3, assault 2d6, poison 4 up, and rending. It's strength 1, but it's poison 4 up, so it doesn't really matter in most cases.
That's funny.
That is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I like that weapon.
Yeah.
I like that weapon a lot.
And also, ostensibly, Magus Amon always gets divination and telepathy, so you can precision shot with that, like, pocket sand to, like, hit somebody, like, squad leader straight in the eyes.
Oh, man. Assault 2d6 all on that guy right there.
Right?
That's funny.
And telepathy, of course, is always good. And very fitting for this guy. Well, I do roll my eyes a little bit when someone brings a telepathy librarian. If it's on a named character because it fits the character, then that's a different thing.
For sure.
And as long as you're not spamming it.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty great overall. Like, completely different field of speciality compared to Ahriman, even though they do both share the divination discipline.
Yeah.
Amon's very interesting because his melee weapon is pretty darn good, but he does not have a whole lot of ranged options. He's got an Archaeotech pistol, but again, like 12 inches. And really, you think he'd be hanging out with, like, recon marines, snipers. He does have infiltrate, so you can, like, stick him in a recon squad that's geared with, like, shotguns and close combat weapons.
Yeah. You really want to put him with, like, a ninja unit, but the Thousand Sons don't really have one of those.
They don't. Like...
It's definitely an unexplored area of the Thousand Sons that I'm very into.
Yeah, I really love Amon in the book series as well, but he's in a little bit of a weird place. Like, 100% take him, you're gonna have fun with him. But I don't know where he goes, especially.
He feels like he belongs in a different legion.
He does a bit, but you're not gonna run into bad times if you use him in this legion.
No. You know who he wants to roll with? The White Scars, like, scouting melee unit.
Right. That would work pretty well for, like, God, what was his name? Arvita? The Thousand Son that got stuck with him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder, what's the Thousand Sons alliance chart look like?
Literally everybody is a distrusted ally. Like, just straight down the board.
Nobody likes the wizards.
Yeah.
Not quite true. They have a few fellow warriors.
Oh, yeah? Who do they got?
And a few by the Emperor or War Master's command.
Sure.
Okay. So fellow warriors for the Thousand Sons. We have Dark Angels.
What?
Huh. Okay.
White Scars.
All right.
Blood Angels. Iron Hands. Raven Guard, Alpha Legion, Mechanicum, and Imperial Army.
Huh.
Yeah. No Sworn Brothers.
Oh,
okay.
That's what I meant. Not big.
Yeah.
I get them confused.
No Sworn Brothers.
I get it.
Yeah, which means he can't join a unit of the White Scars ninjas. But still, some interesting potentials for alliances there. All right.
Do we want to hit the, before we get to the final Magnus to Red, do we want to hit the the exemplary and legacies real quick?
Yeah.
Got it right here.
For all right. Yeah,
So-
for honorable mentions.
Yeah.
The Exandria 4 incident and the numerologist cabal, perhaps?
Yeah. And then we got the Amatar Occult Intercession Cabal.
Yeah.
Lots of fun names there.
All right. Well, if you don't mind, let me start with them because I've got them right in front of me.
Okay.
Sure.
So, these guys are 5 dudes, 175 points. They are light, psyker, and skirmish. Ballistics go 5, which is good. 4+ save, which is not. Leadership 7. 8 on the character, also not terrific. They come stocked with the Nemesis Bolter, all the fun stuff normal Marine gets, except they've got Scout Armor and Shroud Bombs. Special rules-wise, you're looking at Scout, Infiltrate, Move Through Cover, Relentless, and a Native Shrouded 6+. Interestingly, for a dedicated transport, you can take a Legion Storm Eagle, but you can't take anything else. They are 25 extra points for new guys, and for every 5 in the squad, you can exchange your Nemesis Bolter for a Melt-A-Gun or a Plasma Gun.
Interesting.
Your squad leader can also take either a Nuncio box and or Melt-A-Bombs. And much like the Kinatai, they don't get a minor arcana, they get their own special power called Mind Killer. And this one is appropriately named for all like the weird circuitous shenanigans you have to do to understand how it's supposed to work. Because at the start of their turn, before any models are moved, you take that psychic check. If the check is passed, the shooting attacks of all models in the unit with the Psyker unit gain the Rending 4+ and Ignores Cover special rules in addition to any other effect their weapons might have. Makes perfect sense so far, and it'd be great if it just stopped there. But it continues. For the duration of the turn, this does not replace or improve any other versions of the Rending special rule already possessed by the unit and may not be used when attacking with weapons that have the template or blast special rules. I don't know what that's for, but it's frustrating because, as near as I can tell, that specifically does not allow you to get a +1 bump to the rending of your sniper rifles, which you think you'd really want it to do.
More rules lawyering. But it mentions that it's rending 4 up for the that special rules.
I know
for the like it almost. Sorry, rending X special rules already possessed by the unit. Does that mean? But the unit, I don't know if it's unit versus weapon. It seems kind of.
I don't think so. Yeah. But giving them an Ignores Cover, also great.
Yeah. Good. Ignores Cover is great. This is so weird, and I don't like it.
Rending on a Plasma Gun?
Rending on a bolt pistol?
Yeah.
But if you're in bolt pistol range,
Plasma Gun in particular, give yourself some extra strength so that you can more effectively punch through Land Raiders.
So,
why would I just take the Melt-A-Gun that's 5 points cheaper than a Plasma Gun?
What's also
get rending on your Melt-A-Gun.
So they specifically in the power call out that you cannot use the leadership of an independent character in the unit. However, if you have an apothecary or an independent character or whatever else attached to the unit, they do get the benefits of the 4+ rend and the Ignores Cover, which is hilarious with something like an esoterist who has like the little 12-shot Volkite gun. 18 inches. Because doubly so if you're firing it. Maragol's worst nightmare. It's hilarious. 18 shots that are instant death, rend on a 4+, and any invulnerable has to be rerolled.
If you want to get weird with it, put it with an independent character with a nasty melee weapon, and then give it rending 4 up.
It's only shooting attacks.
Is it? Okay.
Sad days.
Stick it with an Armistos.
Oh, yeah. That would be pretty decent.
Yeah. Salt cannon rending on 4s. Goodness. Or autocannon, rather. That's what I'm thinking.
So, overall, they're really expensive. Their special rule seems to be in a weird place. I'm not 100% sure what they were shooting for. Well, I think I know what they're shooting for, but
I will say I've faced these guys on the table, and just the ignores cover for the snipers was really annoying to deal with.
Because ignore
can't evade that.
You can't evade, and it ignores any cover save, which is
if you don't have it invuln, you're just eating the rends on the sniper.
Which for 175,
additionally,
not bad.
Does it? Am I missing it? Does it say that replaces their minor arcana?
Oh, maybe. It is entirely possible. I was positive it did.
I don't see where it does.
Actually, where does it even show they have?
Yeah,
just
that too. Technically, Mind Killer is not listed under their special rules. Given that it's on their sheet in the PDF, I think we can assume they have it. But
whoopsies.
Yeah.
All right, so don't pay attention to me. Take minor arcanas, go Athenaean with these guys, get that -1 to leadership check for the sniper rifles. That ignore cover, but do not rend better.
Yeah. They just rend the normal amount that sniper rifles do, which is already
go
not
home
bad.
happy.
Yeah. The squad I fought, they did slowly over the course of the game kill themselves, but when they got it off, they were very consistently pinning my squads.
Oh, yeah. So
it was quite obnoxious.
Yeah, they're not going to be bad. They're just going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Well, you guys want to check out the numerologists while we're here?
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I don't quite understand what the numerologist is doing,
but
I'm happy to look at it. It's got so many words.
So it's okay. What if we had a tech marine, but also he was bad at it, and he was also kind of a master of signal, but also a bad librarian at the same time?
Okay.
It's real weird.
And had a squad with him?
Yeah.
And as a 0 to 1 choice, you can only pick up one of these guys. He is one of a kind.
For good reasons. So, these guys are like mini characters. They're weapon skill, ballistic skill 5. You've got 2 wounds, initiative 5, 2 attacks, leadership 9, artificer armor.
I do think it's worth mentioning that they are an elite's choice.
They are an elite's choice, which is kind of a mark against them. I feel like elites tend to be crowded for Astartes players. So you've got 130 points for this dude and 4 buddies, his life wards, which are despoilers. So your numerologist comes with a bolt pistol, a K and force axe, servo arm, frag crack artificer armor. Your life wards come with a chainsword bolt pistol power armor. Your numerologist has Battlesmith 4+ and Relentless. And also the life warded special rule. You can add 5 additional life wards, 10 points each. You can take a cyber familiar on your numerologist, which is probably not a bad idea because he does not have an invulnerable save.
You can also put him in a rhino.
Yeah, you can put him in a rhino. You can take a little bevy of upgrades for the weapons on the numerologist: mastercrafted bolter, magna minor combi weapons, volkite, plasma pistol, graviton gun, flamer, plasma gun, melt-a-gun. You're going to ignore all of that because you want to cast his psychic power. You can also trade out his Achaea Force Axe for a Thunderhammer. If you've gotten a close combat with these guys, chances are something's not going right. A life ward can take a Nuncio Box, an Augury Scanner. You can change out one guy's Chainsword for either a Power Weapon or Power Fist. And for every 5 models in the unit, one life ward may exchange his Bolt Pistol and Chainsword for a Rotor Cannon or Volkite Caliber. Again, no idea why you'd pay for that, because you want to use the psychic power. So,
well, do the life wards, do they use?
Yeah, wouldn't the life wards still be able to shoot their guns?
Not very well.
Okay.
They're just, they're mostly despoilers. It'd essentially be a couple of extra Volkite or Rotor Cannon shots that's essentially just going to provoke a return fire reaction at them.
Honestly, what I'm thinking is it makes my opponent think twice about shooting the squad, because they're going to get return fire.
Well, I guess banking a few Rotor Cannon shots off, maybe hoping for that pinning check is not a bad deal.
Or just some Volkite to make them pay if they shoot the unit.
Fair enough. So, your numerologist order is essentially the special rule just to tell you that they get their psi synchronicity, psychic power, and also you don't get a minor arcana. So, psi synchronicity. Take your psychic check, and when successful, a model with this power gains a geolocator beacon until the end of the turn. Reroll reserves, so you don't have to look it up.
Thanks.
In addition, up to 2 friendly units composed entirely of models with Legionis Astartes Thousand Suns, with 1 or more models within 6 inches of any models using psi synchronicity, get +1 to ballistic skill during the active player's shooting phase, so long as the model with the psychic power does not make a shooting attack in the shooting phase. So,
okay.
it's great for the stuff you would assume, heavy weapons squads, recon squads, stuff like that. There is no caveat to unit type, so if you want, it can be jet bikes, it can be a squadron of predators, it can be pick a Lord of War. I mean, it's pretty decent. Like, I'm never going to say no to +1 ballistic skill to, say, a squad of predators with predator cannons and bullkite.
Yeah.
It's not bad. But essentially just think of something you would want a cognoscignum on, and now you can do 2 of those.
And with the geolocator beacon, I guess I can kind of see if you're doing something really weird with like having the units deep strike near this and then getting a bonus to their shooting attack when they land.
Honestly, I like it just for that reroll of reserves.
Yeah.
Running deep strike armies, I've been screwed on that so many times, as Jason can attest.
Can confirm.
I've straight up lost games because the reserves never showed up.
Gotcha.
And I think it'll have a use when we get around to the Rights of War and the Court of the Crimson King.
The Court of the Crimson King is pretty great.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's life warded.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. So this is essentially the same version of Patris Cybernetica. You cannot, via precision shot, sniper, what have you, allocate attacks to the numerologist while he still has bodyguards, which is pretty good. It's pretty helpful in that you can't just be like, sniped out. But the other thing is, additionally, a unit that includes any models can't be joined by any model that does not also have this special rule, kind of like Bitter Duty.
And that explicitly includes Tech Marines and Apothecaries. Huh. That's kind of weird.
Oh, one thing that is kind of good, though, this does say specifically, regardless of the attacking model's rules or effects, they can't... So some of the rules like this can... they specifically reference, like, precision shots or things like that. So, like, it would affect Sniper because Sniper is just precision shot, but all the time. However, there are a few small janky special rules, like the Corvidae. Special rule shooting is not a precision shot, so something like Patris Cybernetica that specifically calls out precision shots doesn't affect it, which is weird and probably not intended, but it's kind of how the interactions go.
It's definitely how I read it.
But otherwise, pretty good. I mean, you're not going to have a bad time with him. Kind of the only downside is you sort of have to cluster those units close together because it's only a short 6-inch range. But it only has to be a model or two in there.
Yeah.
At 130 points, I don't hate it.
No.
And as an Elite's choice, I am a fan. Because for Thousand Suns, I want to take, librarians or characters who are going to do things rather than buff
You want
things.
HQ units.
Yeah, I want actual HQs, not
It's a good way to describe
upsized buffers.
Right.
And playing Imperial Fists, running Hammerfall Strike Force, I used to run with a Master of Signals a lot to give me a slight boost to those reserves, maybe get to reroll where they come in. I stopped doing that because it was expensive and not that helpful and took an HQ slot. that I could use for better things. If I was doing a similar thing in Thousand Suns, I would be all over this unit just for that reserve
Now,
reroll.
the caveat with Thousand Suns is if you take the Master Signal, he can be a little bit more useful because you can give him the 15-point upgrade to take a Discipline. And then he can also be like a little magic shield wizard.
Fair.
On top of just like waving around the light sticks for stuff coming in for landing. But yeah, I agree. Like, definitely HQ slots I feel like are always more at a premium. You can probably make, even though elites can be kind of congested, I feel like you can much better make the argument for this.
Yeah.
Instead of a whole HQ slot.
And when I run a Master of Signals, he ends up hiding behind the biggest piece of blocking terrain he can find anyways. I can do that with these guys and feel better about it.
And he can boost 2 units.
Right. Boost 2 units that aren't part of his unit.
Right.
So he hides behind a building with a Dreadnought or a tank sitting next to him. Dreadnought and tank can get shot to pieces during that first turn. Not a big deal. But gets +1 to its shooting. Then he calls in the reinforcements. And he's paid for himself, in my
some
opinion.
folks use a numerologist combined with a siege breaker that has telekinesis. So not only do all of your tanks get +1 ballistic skill, you also get the 4+ Telekine Dome, which the siege breaker doesn't have to move. And then he can give one of those groups of tanks Sunder.
Yeah.
Which is, a whole lot of stacking nonsense, which feels very Thousand Sunsy.
It's appropriate.
Yeah. Now, I before we touch base, I do got one more question with the psi synchronicity. It mentions that you make your check, the model gains a geolocator beacon. When it mentions up to 2 friendly units composed entirely of models with Thousand Suns special rule, with 1 or more models within 6 inches of any models using synchronicity, gain a bonus of +1. Is that what model is using synchronicity? Is it all the models in that unit, or just the one that generated the geolocator beacon?
It's just the numerologist himself.
Right,
the life wards do not have the numerologist order special rule.
I will rescind my question. Thank you for clearing that up.
The life wards are there to die first.
Yeah, it's when I see the word models and not look up. It's like, there we go. All right. Well, on to the big man himself.
Back to the Liber?
Yeah.
Page 260. Primarch of the Thousand Suns, the Sorcerer of Prospero, the Crimson King, the Logos Maxima, the Cyclopean Giant, Magnus the Red. Go ahead, Jason. Wrap this bad boy up.
He's a big giant nerd.
Yep.
Like, the only single Primarch I have even a modicum of sympathy for is Angron. And I know Thousand Suns players are supposed to be, Magnus did nothing wrong. Lehman Russ is a dick. You know what? They're both dicks, all right? It's Horus Heresy. I don't know if you're new here, but everyone's dicks, all right? Just because he's your space dad doesn't mean he's any less of an intergalactic war criminal. Magnus is just as bad as everybody else. But that aside, routing all the hate mail, I'm sure I'm going to get straight into my spam folder. Magnus is pretty cool as a model. So he is kind of middle of the pack as far as Primarch statistics go. Not middle of the pack so far as his 520-point price tag. He is move 8, weapon skill 7, 6s all the way down until leadership 10, and a 2+ save. Unique and a psyker, because of course, he's got the horned raiment, the blade of An Nanerta, a Sapphire Serpenta, and frag grenades. Let's see, Master of the Legion, Legionis Astartes, Thousand Suns, Arch Sorcerer, Deep Strike, which is fun, Adamantium Will, 3 up, Native Shrouded, 5+, Eye of the Crimson King, Traitor, and Sire of the Thousand Suns. So, any models with the infantry type in the same army as Magnus the Red gain Adamantium Will 6 up. If the model already has the same version of this special rule, that is increased by 1 step. Interestingly, it does not have the caveat that a lot of things like this do, limited it to a certain number, like a feel no pain up to 4+. So, ostensibly, if you've already got Armin in there, now he has a better adamantium will than Magnus does.
That kind of tracks.
It does kind of track. Also, any model with 1,000 Suns that suffers perils of the warp, including Magnus, reduces the number of wounds inflicted by 1 to a minimum of 1 wound. Also, interestingly, Magnus has a less flexible bonus reaction than Armin.
That also tracks.
Is stuck in the assault phase, which feels weird. I don't know why an assault phase reaction, but that's what he gets. So, Arch Sorcerer, his first special rule. He has access to all of the core disciplines whenever you want him. When making a shooting attack or attacking during an assault, Magnus can choose any one psychic weapon available from any discipline, regardless of which psychic powers he has used in a given turn. So basically, you can mix and match whichever power and or psychic weapon you want at any given point in the assault or shooting phase, or heck, whatever phase. It's pretty interesting. It opens up a whole lot of possibilities that other Primarchs don't have.
It's really cool.
And also, in each turn, he can use any one of the minor arcana from, the Proserpine Arcana, and may use a different one in each turn. Also, he doesn't have to take a psychic check for that, for the minor arcana. He just gets it. But only the minor arcana. He does have to psychic check as normal.
That's
great. The other fun stuff, Eye of the Crimson King. When selecting targets for psychic powers, all models within range, anything that's not in a building or on a transport, counts as in line of sight. So basically, he has a universal guided fire, which is good. You can't hide from the dude with one eye. You've got his armor, the Horned Raiment. If you are familiar with the nipple horns, you don't forget them. Gives you a 2-up, gives you a 4+ invulnerable, and also, just like in first edition, if you're hit with a destroyer weapon, you take 1 less wound to a minimum of 1. The Blade of Ondanurta doesn't seem that great to start. It's Strength 6, AP 1, melee, 2-handed, but it is Force, so you can double it up to Strength 12, AP 1, which is pretty darn good. Magnus has 6 attacks and no real way to gain extra attacks other than charging, which isn't, the worst, but it's not mad at it. And then last, you've got the sci-fi.
I mean, when they're strength 12, 6 attacks regardless is
pretty good.
At AP 1, you don't really need that much more. I feel.
I don't know enough about Primarchs to know how he would fare in a Primarch fight, but against anything else, he's wrecking shop.
Bad.
Okay, that also tracks. He's a big nerd.
Pack. He's not Ferrus Manus or anything, but he gets it done. Then you've got the Sci-Fire Serpenta, which is kind of funny because it's 15-inch range, so it's like a big Volkite Serpenta. It's not a pistol, though. It's Strength 3, AP 2, Assault 3, Deflagrate, and Force. So it's a little bit useless until you turn it on.
Set from stun to kill.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But you can only turn that dial with your mind, which, risks a demon poking around in there.
Okay, here's a question for you. If for some reason Magnus was fighting demons, as he should have done in the first place, and he fires this at a unit of demons, the Force makes it instant death, right? AP2, instant death, and then Deflagrate.
Yes.
Would the Deflagrate wounds then be instant death? Or
I don't think so. Because Deflagrate has the caveat that it doesn't carry over any of the special rules like Rend.
Okay.
From the original.
Yeah. Then.
Which I imagine while rare would track in the same bucket.
In that case, would the Deflagrate wounds be Strength 3?
I think probably, yeah.
Yeah. niche case, and frankly, why would you be shooting that when you have access to every core psychic power? Heck, even fighting demons, use the thaumaturgy one and just banish the entire squad in one
I
go.
would like to offer the small constructive criticism. As much of an arc sorcerer as Magnus the Red is, he could really use some firing protocols, even if it was just like 2, so he could fire off 1 psychic weapon power from each hand.
It would feel a little bit more, especially at 520 points, or at least 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know enough about Primarchs to know how he stacks up, but
He's
picking from the entire book of psychic spells sounds like a fun time.
It's fun.
Just stand there during the shooting phase, flipping through your book of spells. Yeah. It'd be cool.
I mean, you do have a little bit of extra utility, especially with the Sci-Fi or Serpenta, because you are a Primarch, so you do automatically have precision shot and strike on everything. But,
right.
What are you going to do? So,
precision shot psychic powers. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking like the Telekine rock throw.
Right.
But make it precision. Okay. Shall we go into Rites of War?
Rites of War and wrap this up.
We've talked about a couple of them. Let's go over what they are.
These are...
Jason, you want to take a Kain configuration?
Oh, don't make me. Yeah, I'll take a Kain configuration.
I'll take it.
You'll know what you're reading.
Oh, yeah.
I won't.
Yeah, that's the problem. I know what I'm reading, and I know how bad. It's not god-awful, but it makes you take a Kea, which we... All right. I'll try not just to poo-poo on it, but... Okay, so you may select Castellax Achaea as non-compulsory troops choices. You don't have to. Even the Rite of War they're centered around leaves it up to you as an option. But are you sure you want to do this? Any model from this detachment that is within 12 inches and suffers of a Castellax Achaea and suffers perils of the warp may allocate all of those wounds inflicted by perils to the Castellax Achaea. And any Castellax Achaea in the detachment using this Rite of War is considered to have the line subtype as long as it's within 6 inches of a friendly model with both Legionis Astartes Thousand Sons and the Psyker subtype. It's really, really hard to get this to work like you think it should.
Yeah.
Because it's nice. The Castellax Achaea do act like wound sinks for perils of the warp. They do have adamantium will, so it's about a 50-50 chance for them to ignore it. And under the limitations, your Castellax Achaea, selected as troops, have to include more than one model. You must include at least one Legion Tech Marine Covenant, and you must include at least one model with the Consularis Special Rule, selecting the Praevian upgrade. So there's a lot of requirements.
Yeah.
Some of them make sense. The Praevian makes sense. The Tech Marine,
it's too much. It feels like it should be one or the other.
Yeah.
Like, the Praevian's okay. He can hop in one of these units of Castellax and start, wrenching wounds back onto him. But the problem, like we mentioned before, there's no way to kind of mitigate the downsides of automata like the Mechanicum have access to. And once these Castellax Achaea start taking wounds, they're going to start exploding. And that's a bad deal, especially when you can't repair them as fast as the Mechanicum can.
And they're so expensive.
They are real expensive. They're 140 points each.
Yeah, so you're looking at 280 a minimum per non-compulsory slot that you want to fill with these guys?
Which is more expensive than the tactical squad that can just roll over top of them like they weren't even there.
Right. If the Castellax Achaea were cheaper and it didn't require a Tech Marine Covenant, I'd be on board with it. But
at least it didn't require you to drop a Tech Marine in each single unit. At least it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But.
And I mean, a Tech Marine is not bad. Like, I'm never going to say no to, a 70-point dude with an axe and a Cognoscignum. Boosting a tactical squad, boosting a heavy support squad, what have you. But it's just so much expensive stuff in a Legion that already has to struggle with expensive stuff.
It's really expensive, and the entire, the bonuses you get are around making Castellax Achaea help other units out.
Mm-hmm. Which they suffer.
But you don't have enough points left over to help other units, because you don't have other units.
And I really try not to compare second and first edition, but it's really kind of a kick in the pants that this used to be a native ability of the Castellax, instead of something you have to base a whole ride around.
Yeah.
But more power to you if you want to dig deep and make it work.
They were very nasty last edition.
They were.
All right. On the other hand, Guard of the Crimson King looks real fun.
Yeah, it is it's like Hammerfall Strike Force, but with nerd wizards from space.
Yeah. So for this, the controlling player may designate up to 6 units from a detachment using this Rite of War that are made up entirely of models with the infantry unit type. These models gain the Deep Strike special rule. When these units are deployed as part of a Deep Strike assault, they gain the Fear 1 special rule for the duration of the turn in which they are deployed to the battlefield. Additionally, Sekhmet Cabals may be selected as troops choices for a detachment using this Rite of War. Limitations: detachment using this Rite of War must include Magnus Red, Isaac Armin, a Legion Praetor, Legion Cataphracti Praetor, or Legion Tartarus Praetor, upgraded to have a Psychic Discipline. And this Rite of War may not be used by an allied detachment. That being said, this is what I want. This is what I wish Hammerfall Strike Force was.
It's real good.
You are, dropping a big old deep strike bomb. You are doing it with troop elite terminators. We talked about how cool Sekhmet were. Well, now they're troops, and now they deep strike. You're doing it with one of your excellent HQs that we talked about. You're going to want lots of. And on top of that, they get Fear 1 when they drop in. So there's a chance you will actually pin someone if you deep strike close enough with them.
And what's really nice is I always tend to have some Athenaean units scattered around, especially Recon Marines. They're the go-to with it. But when you start laying down some shooting attacks, when you've already got Fear 1, and then with Athenaean stacked on top of it, it starts getting real good real quick.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, bring a numerologist. Make sure that the deep strike comes in as soon as possible. This looks really cool, and this Rite of War is why I keep looking at Thousand Suns and being like, I could do that. Yeah. That could be fun.
It is a whole lot of fun. I've used it a couple of times, and it has not gone horribly yet. It's been a lot of fun without feeling like overbearing. I think that's kind of what I like about Hammerfall and about this, is it's a big deep strike bomb, but it's not the same type of deep strike bomb as a whole bunch of drop pods, which feel different somehow.
Yeah.
But it's good times.
I can imagine taking like Armin, a librarian, maybe a champion, all upgraded with the psychic powers, probably 3 units of Sekhmet Terminators, 1 numerologist cabal, a couple of scout squads, put the characters in the Terminator cabals, set them up deep striking, use Armin's Warlord trait to shuffle around everyone on the left on the board to make sure they're out of line of sight so they don't get shot turn 1.
Get the scouts in just the right line of sight.
Yeah. Reroll when they come in. It's a very good chance you come in turn 2 and drop in with a whole lot of psychic nastiness.
I really, really like one of my go-to units is a chaplain upgraded for a psychic power. Because I normally use them as my warlord, because I love in 2nd edition, your warlord does not have to be your master of the Legion anymore. So I can take a praetor, but also a chaplain, and make him my warlord so he can get the fun Magister Prospero trait to make all of his squad psychic checks really reliable. And for things like that, a chaplain with biomancy is a staple for close combat squads for Thousand Suns, especially if you take it with something like a Pyre Minor Arcana. So each one of your despoilers, it's the unit I use it with most commonly, each one of them gets 2 Hammer of Wraths. All of their hits re-roll because of the chaplain, and they are all strength 5 with chainswords to shred, which also rerolls. So it is unbelievably nasty on the charge from a unit that's like, the spoilers are kind of mean, but they're real mean coming out of a really, really good deep strike setup with Fear 1.
Okay, yeah. We'll point out Magister Prospero only affects the Warlord's unit.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
So it would only be that one unit getting
reliable.
The reliability.
Oh yeah, but one's all you need.
But still. Yeah.
Fair.
Just calling it out because it was sounding like you were talking about multiple units.
Oh, no. Just one chaplain in a unit of despoilers. But it is pretty easy to get 3 different minor arcana in the same unit going between the unit itself, an independent character, and the apothecary, which is almost always going to be Pavoni.
Something that's worth noting about Guard of the Crimson King is it does not make those Sekhmet line.
That'd probably be a little bit too much.
Yeah, absolutely. They should not be getting a line in this. But it means the army I laid out earlier, you would not actually want to run. You'd want to do that and then finesse it to get some points for some things that could actually score.
I mean, Recon Marines score.
If they're still alive.
Yeah. If I was going to go Terminator heavy, I think I would add a few, either like a Breacher squad, because they actually get a pretty good usage out of both the Raptora Minor Arcana to give them a 4+ invulnerable, and also they don't lose anything like a Tactical Marine does if you trade out their bolters for Asphyx bolters, because they can't Fury of the Legion.
Good call.
So you don't lose that. You don't lose the tactical ability to take bayonets, things like that. You just get a really good invulnerable, and now you're got a pretty good nasty set of shooting to help equal out your damage quotient with Tactical Marines.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I think that wraps up all our Thousand Suns content.
Yeah. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
Overall, it's maybe, it's an interesting Legion to play.
It's different.
It's definitely interesting.
If you're playing it, hats off to you.
Don't make people hate life with telepathy is what I would like to leave my parting message as. Nobody likes that. Don't argue that the Thousand Suns took a really big hit and they have to use telepathy to be competitive.
Or just take Airmen.
They're not that.
They're
just
not
take
that.
Airmen. No.
Yeah.
I will 100% agree. It does kind of suck that your entire trait is dependent on your squad sergeant. So if he gets killed, you suddenly can't use your Legionis Astartes trait anymore. I hear you.
Their traits are... Their Legion trait is not good. There's a lot of complaints to be had with
because it killed.
That being said, you've got enough good stuff going on. You can do some fun things.
It's all about making that deal with Zinch.
Yeah. I think a lot of the downsides come from the comparison with what they were in first edition. And
I can see that.
I don't think that's ever going to work out well.
No, the game is vastly different than what it was the first edition. Even more.
The game is vastly different, and Thousand Suns were absurd last edition.
They were unfun.
It was.
I tried to police myself very strictly, and that's how we ended up with the Flexomancer.
Yep,
was for me trying not to be a dick.
But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, man, I'm not trying to land this on a sour note, but
the Flexomancer is only a sour note for people that had to play against him.
Yeah. Oh, there were some FAQ questions and answers. I don't think it really matters too much. Are the following Thousand Suns units treated as having gained the Psyker unit type through the Cult Arcana ability? Yeah. They can use psychic checks. Yes, they can take minor arcana.
If it says you can take a psychic discipline, you can take a psychic discipline.
And
like twin-linked weapons are in fact twin-linked.
God damn it!
Oh, the Kane configuration had something up here too. Change the third bullet to a Castex Achaea model in this attachment is considered to have line subtype as long as that model is within 6 inches of friendly model with both a Thousand Suns and the Psyker subtype, excluding Psi Automata models. So you cannot stack up your Achaeans.
Yes.
Fair. Okay, fair. Yeah. completely
Yeah,
worse than
yeah.
worse.
The Achaeans don't count for that.
What
It has to be an actual space
if they're
wizard.
holding hands, they can capture this objective.
Hey, if it works
Don't
for Solar
but they-
Auxilia,
They even took that from them. Damn.
right? They can't even like hold their little force claws together.
Yeah, yeah. Love, turns out, is not a battlefield. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to do this real quick lightning round type of thing. Jason, once again, thank you so much for hanging out with us for this episode. This was a blast. Hope to see you again real soon.
Me
Here's
too.
some local events coming up in Battlegrounds. We have the Holiday Mega Battle, Return of Center Klaus on 9th of December, 2023. Legions Imperialis, we'll be playing some games. Stay tuned. And for
Probably early next year, we'll be talking about some events for that. I know there's desire for like a learn to play get together. And then on the 13th of January, Battles in the Black at Battlegrounds.
Dope.
lots of night fighting. 13th of January.
It's going to be real dark. Middle of winter, no sun. Bring all the things you need for seeing in the dark.
That's where I do my best work.
All right. Once again, if you enjoyed this program, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at RR30K Podcast. Once again, thanks to GoblinsHut.com, the North American home of Dirty Down special effects washes and sprays. Patrons get to receive a 15% discount on their orders from that website. And if you are a patron or would like to become a patron, go to patreon.com/RR30K Podcast. Be sure to join our Discord server community. The link is in the show notes. Be sure to leave a rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to this program. Once again, this is the Remembrancers Retreat. My name is Jesse. I was here with Michael and Jason.
Hey.
Bye, nerds.
Have a good night and keep those dice rolling. Bye for now.
And don't fail your psychic checks.
Don't fail your second check. Cool. GoblinsHut.com is the distributor for the Dirty Down paint line and other hobby products in North America. Dirty Down liquid effects and aging sprays have been used by prop masters in TV and film for over 30 years to create incredible realistic-looking effects in a fast, reliable way. They can be spotted in some of your favorite media such as Star Wars, Game of Thrones, and Alien, just to name a few. That precision has now been brought to the miniature realm and is taking the hobby by storm. In the Dirty Down line, you'll find rust, moss, and verdigris effects unlike anything else on the market. With a vigorous shake and a mix of a bottle, a single wash creates the combined effects of multiple other paints and even provides a subtle texture. Dirty Down's entire line is also water soluble, so you can achieve a wide variety of effects, entirely reworking, removing, or layering to your heart's content to achieve the perfect weathered look. With this capability, the line is perfect for speed painting while also having the depth for use for competition pieces. If you'd like to buy Dirty Down at a shop near you, ask your friendly local game store to go to GoblinsHut.com for information on stocking it. You can also purchase it direct as well. Also, all listeners of the Remembrancers Retreat can get a 5% discount on your online order with the promo code RR30K. And patrons of the Remembrancers Retreat get 15% off their orders. Once again, that's GoblinsHut.com, home of the Dirty Down liquid effects.